Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. This is HTML for absolute beginner, and in previous video I told a lot of concepts. So today I'll be explaining a lot of those concepts, and I will be providing you with some new things to learn today. We will talk about HTML headings in depth today. We'll talk also about the HTML paragraphs as style attribute in HTML, and the display, how the contents are displayed from the code editor to the browser, and text formatting, how to format the text, like making it bold, like in if you are in a Word document you can pretty much do it by bold, and how can you do that in HTML. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about quotation and citation element in HTML. And I realized a thing that being on PPT and moving back and forth within the code editor and PPT takes a lot of time, kills a lot of time. So I have decided that I'll be explaining things within the code editor. I'll be talking about HTML tags within the code editor, and I'll be explaining by doing things. So let's jump into the code editor and learn things by doing. And I recommend you to follow along with this course. Just by seeing the course and not doing anything will not, I don't think that would be a great method to learn things. So I recommend you to follow along with me. So let me go into my desktop, and this folder, we created this folder yesterday, in previous video. Go to index, and let me open it up with a VS Code. And I have deleted some concepts from that. If you have that, you can delete it, or you can create a new file here. So let me create a boilerplate. If you have the emmet distribution in your code editor, then you can put the exclamation mark and hit tab. You'll have a lot of these concepts, so it is easier. So let me manipulate this title, and today let's talk about HTML more. Let me type more in HTML. So let's just talk about, let me write a comment here, headings. Let's talk about headings. Headings are the heading tags are from H1 to H6. All of those tags are heading tags. So let me write them here. Heading 1, okay, we have written from heading 1 to heading 6. So let me open up the browser and see how it's going on here. So let me open it. So let me refresh this. This is showing all the content of yesterday. Let me save this thing and let me refresh it. Here we go. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and heading 4, and heading 5, and heading 6. So headings are really important in the web document, because heading helps the user who read your content to focus on something, and it also helps the search engine to take your content, to take your website and put it in the search bar, or indexing the search results. That is why headings are useful. So headings are the block element. I mean by block element is, if I type the new heading and let me type the new heading, it will create a new line of it itself. So that is what is the block element. So new heading, notice that it did not create the things in the same line, it created a new line. That is the heading. So the next problem about heading is that they are too big sometimes. And for example, let's say I want a heading tag but not this big, so I can use a heading tag attribute of font size. I can use it here. All right, so let me go here and let me resize this thing. I can do it by, if you remember, there was style and font size, and let me give it 30 pixel. So font size is the CSS property and 30 pixel is the CSS value. So this is the CSS property, and whenever I'll talk about the CSS lecture in CSS course, we'll talk about more about that. This is the CSS property, the valid CSS property, and a CSS value. Let me save it. Let me refresh it. So maybe you can see that, right? So size a little bit went a little bit down. Let me save it and see it. So heading 1 within the 10 pixel. I don't want that small. Let me make it 50 pixel, even bigger than other things. That is what we can do to solve the problem of heading being big. So let's talk about HTML paragraphs. So paragraphs in HTML, we talk a little bit about that. So paragraphs So paragraphs are also the block element. So they are also the block element. I mean by block element is they create their own line. Let me save it and refresh it. They create their own line, right? So if I write another paragraph tag in front of it and give it some text and save it, and they create their own line. And notice that they also create their own margin here, from here to here. And so let's talk a little bit about the BR tag and HR tag in HTML. So the HR stands for the horizontal line and the BR stands for the break line. So HR is very useful if you are writing a bigger paragraph and you want to change the paragraph. Let me say that from this thing, I want to create a line here and separate this from this paragraph. So I will do is I will type a HR tag here, and HR tag is the empty tag, and I mean by empty tag it has got only the start tag, no end tag, and no content here. So let me save it and let me refresh it here. You can see the horizontal line will appear here. So here we go. The horizontal line appeared and separated the paragraph from here. The break line is pretty simple. I think I have introduced with that break line yesterday. So break line just breaks the line from a paragraph or something else like that. Let me create another line. So this, create a paragraph tag. This is the line break, and before that I want to break the line, save it and refresh it here. You can see this is the line break. Even if I wrote both of them in the same context, I got a line break here. So let's talk about another concept, that is the HTML style attribute. And I want to copy some text here. So what are the things that we're going to talk here? So let me copy it. That will be easier to navigate through. So here we go. HTML style attribute. What is the purpose of using HTML style attribute? So the style attribute are used for styling the HTML element. For example, changing the background, let's say. Changing the background of this heading, changing the text color, font size, that is all about HTML style attribute. The style attribute for styling the HTML elements, we can change the background color of the entire document, or we can even change the background color of this thing. We can change by using the color, we can change the text color, and font family used for changing the font and font size. We talked about that, and text alignment with the center, left, right, we can use that. So let's do something here. So let me create a h1 tag. This is red. So let me use a color for it. So style and a color of red. Let me type it, save it, and refresh it. I can see a h1 tag with the red heading and red color. And let's talk about the background color. So in the HTML, let's change the color of our whole body, background of our whole body. For that, I will type style and background color, and let me change it to aqua. And refresh it. The whole color is changed here now. So that is about the background color thing. And font family, changing the font family. So let's change the font family of this heading here. Let me go up here and let me change the font family of this heading, or I can even change the font family of this thing here. Font family, and there are a lot of font families, so let me change it to sans serif. Save it. The new sans serif font is here. So that is about changing the font family. I can even change the font family here. So that was about changing the style, 2 or more style within a tag. So that was it. So we can we'll be separating it by the semicolon and changing it. So let me create another style for this thing, and let me change it to font style, font family to New Romans, Time Romans, and save it and refresh it. You can see the Romans here. So that was about the font. That was about the font family here, and let's talk about the font size. So I can change the font size by here. font size, and let me make it a very big one, H1. Save it, and it should exceed here. Blow it here. Where it went? So let me subtract it. Make this 101, and here we go. It's a bigger one, heading size and text alignment. So what if this red, I want to make it in center of it, the center text here. So for that, I will need to type text alignment to, I can make it center, I can make it end. That is about the flex box and all this stuff. So let me make it center and save it and open up and refresh it. This centered in this scenario, and if I make it bigger one, it will be centered for this viewport height. So that is about the text alignment. So let's talk about HTML display. In HTML, you cannot be sure about how HTML will be displayed on your viewers or the people who visit your website. I mean by that is, for example, let's say I type a paragraph, and let me make this is the HTML display test, and I wrote all of the space and space here, and this is another line, or I say like this and type here. Let me save it, and let's see how will this code be viewed in the web browser. Let me open up and let me save it and refresh it. You see, this is displayed like as a single line here. This does not take care of our spaces and how we wrote it. So that is what is about the HTML display. In HTML, you cannot be sure about how the things will be displayed on your HTML page. This will not take care of your spaces and how you write it, your line breaks. It will not take care of it. So here's a solution I have for you. So you can use a tag called the pre tag. The tag pre will help you do this thing, solve this problem. Pre means it is as by its name, you can understand that it preserves the spaces and line breaks. Let me copy this thing. Let me paste this thing here, and it will display how am I typing here in my code editor. Let me go to my editor. I think I save it and refresh it. You can see how it is displayed. The way I wrote, the way it is displayed here. So that is about the pre-tag in HTML and display in HTML. So let's talk about HTML text formatting, how to format the text in HTML. For example, let's say if I wanted to change this is red to a bold text, and I'll be using a B tag. If I want to make a strong is really used for the important text in our document. And if I want to make it italic, I'll use I here. And EM for emphasis text, mark for marked text, like making it a marked one. And like this, changing the background color to yellow by default with a mark, and small, make it a smaller text, and delete will simply create a style that will be a single line within the text, and inserted text will be an underlined text, and subscript that will be used for, used for the mathematical formula and all that stuff, and subscript for the power. That is about that. So let's do this thing. So I want to create a bold text here. Let me create I am bold. So I want to make this whole thing a bold text. So B. Inside of the B, I have to keep it inside that thing. Control X and Control B and save it and refresh it. Inside here, I could see I am bold. Spelling was changed. I am bold. That was about the bold text. Let's talk about the strong text. Let me see what would happen if I make a P tag and a strong tag, and I am strong. Save it and refresh it. Should see quite a similar to of the bold one. And italic. Let me do it, and italic. Sorry, just I will do the job. This is italic, And emphasis text, you can change it em, and that will change for us. And mark, let's see the emphasis em, save it, refresh it. It's also similar to italic, but a little bit more emphasized than that of italic. And let's talk about mark. So what is this thing about mark? Save it and refresh it. You can see, as I said, the thing will change into the background color will change into marks. For example, refresh it, the whole background gets colored. And that, I think the mark could be useful for the specific text. So for example, let's say I wanted to make this is special. I want to make this special, especially a different background color, that could be useful over here. Special. Save it, refresh it. That could be very special to use. And insert it and delete it. So let me make another p tag, and let me type a deleted text. I am deleted. Refresh it. See, this is whole deleted. And let's talk about it. I am inserted. Save it and underline. I am deleted and I'm inserted, just like that. And subscript, that will go, the text will go a little bit downward, down the normal flow, the normal baseline of the text. That is, this is the baseline. And sub, I am below the baseline. Save it, and you can see this is the baseline here, and it is the text I wrote in the sub went below the sub baseline of any text. That could be useful over there. And let's talk about the superscript. So let me change it to superscript. Let me write a new tag here. So P, I am the baseline, and a sub tag. That was a sub tag, not SP. And I am above the baseline. Save it, refresh it. You can see it went above. That is a superscript. That was about the HTML text formatting. Bold text B makes it bolder, and strong makes it stronger. Italic, it turns into italic text. Emphasis make it emphasis. Mark, change the background color, just like this one. Small, make it smaller. And del makes it the deleted text, just like this one. Insert makes it the underlined, and subscript make it go below the baseline, and superscript make it go above the baseline. So that was about the HTML text formatting. So now let's talk about HTML quotation and citation elements in HTML5. So HTML quotation and citation element can be very useful in our HTML document. So let's talk about some of the HTML quotation element. I have pasted some of the very popular HTML quotation element. The first one is block quote, and which is used to provide a block of quote from another source in your document. That means, for example, you got a quote from, let's say, Albert Einstein or other source or other web pages, and you wanted to use that in your web page. Then you can use block quote and give the site as its attribute to that site where it originally came from. And the quote is generally used for adding the quotes in your HTML document. I will show that. And ABBR stands for abbreviation, and that can be used for, let's say you wanted to use short form in your browser, in your document, then you can use ABBR, and you can even give the title, and whenever someone hovers over that, and that gives the information about that. An address attribute is really useful for, let's say you wrote an article and you wanted to give some information about you. For example, let's say you wanted to give your phone number, email address, and if you can even give the social media handle in your address. And cite is generally used for the title of the work. Let's say you made a course, for example, let's take myself. I created this course. I can use that a cite element and make it a course by Vishal Nupane. And note that you cannot use your name as the site. And BDO stands for bidirectional overridden, and that means you can change the direction of the text that goes in your HTML document. I mean to say that in English language, in English and many of the languages, that the text reads from left to right, but in some of the languages like Arabic, that reads from right to left. For that reason, we use the BDO direction, and it has got the attribute called dir, and we can define whether it goes from left to right or right to left. So without any further ado, a lot of talk. So let's write here. So what are the things that we're gonna do? So let me use the block code here. Let me write a paragraph. This is a code from WWF. So I'm going to write block code inside of the paragraph code. So block code, and I want to close it. And inside of here, I'm going to give it a site attribute. And site attribute means the source, the actual source from where this code came from. And the site is www, and the site is https://clone www dot that was wwf.org, I think. And if I'm wrong, that's okay, completely fine. And I have copied in my clipboard the code, the actual code from the WWF. And let me save it, and let me refresh this thing, and here we go. We got a code from WWF, and it has got a really good styling here. And for 50 years, WWF has been protecting the future of nature and all that stuff. You can read that, and that is about block code. I think you can understand now by the block code. For example, block code, let me explain it once again. Site gives the original information about the author of the code, and you use that for your document to make it stand out. So that was about the block code, and let's use this code. And code is pretty simple. So let me create another paragraph, and this letter, and let me use the Q code here, and this is under double quotation. That means it double quotation. Save it, refresh it, and you can see it's simple double quotation that is given by the Q, that is small quotation basically. So let's talk about ABBR. ABBR is very useful for the search engine and translation system. So let me show you what I mean by that. I type P, and World Health Organization, let's say WHO, World Health Organization, and let me save it and refresh it. You can see simple plain text by the paragraph. And let's say I wanted to write WHO only, I have the space. Let's imagine I have very small space in my document, and I wanted just to say WHO as the abbreviation of the World Health Organization. So that is the case where I want to use the abbreviation. Let's write ABBR, and I will write WHO and World, and let me cut it, and let me save it. I can see WHO, but the one who do not know about who WHO, that he or she will simply read this who, what the hell that means, who. So for that, I can give a attribute inside the ABBR, that is title, and title is basically the full form of that simple text that you wrote here inside the ABBR WHO. What is the full form? You will want to write the full form here, title, inside of the title, and save it and refresh it. And whenever I go here, and you can see a little bit of different styling here, whenever I hover my mouse over there, I can see World Health Organization that being displayed. So that is about ABBR. And the next thing about address, the cool thing about address, it has got its custom style inside of the HTML5, and you can change that using the style attribute. But for address, that is a cool one. So let me write another paragraph tag, and inside the paragraph tag, let me write the address, and let's say second phone number. Let me give you the phone number 101 and second street street 101, and let me save it. And you can see a custom style that is given by the address. You can see that is italic in nature, and it has got some space one line break in the up in the front and one line break in the downside. So that is about the address tag. That is cool thing about address thing. And let's talk about cite. So cite is pretty simple, not a new idea here. So P, and I can say a cite. That means cite gives a generally italic nature. Let me give a course given by P cite, a course given by Vishal. If I save it and refresh it, you can see this now. A course, that is the title of the work, and given by Vishal, that is the rest of the work. So that is about the title of work. And next is BDO, as I already described you. BDO stands for, let me write it once again, bidirectional overridden. So in English, the letter we read is generally from left to right. So this is left to right read. And whenever I use BDO and specify the direction, the actual direction I want, let's say right to left, and that will be this reads right to left. If I save it and refresh it, and you can see it here, this is left to right. This is a normal text from paragraph, and the overridden one I read, that is from the paragraph tag, and the next from the BDO, that is bidirectional overridden. The text is TFEL, and that generally reads from the left to right. So this reads right to left. That is simple. So that was about BDO, and that is all about HTML quotation and citation elements. So thank you very much for watching this video. In another video, we'll talk more about HTML5. Thank you very much for watching the video till the end. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, then consider subscribing for more videos about programming. And thank you very much.